Hi everyone, this is the first vlog from Fairy and Dragon Makeup. I'm Fairy, my partner is Dragon. She'll probably be on later this week, hopefully. And since this is the first vlog, I figured that it would make sense to go ahead and talk about who I am, why I'm interested in makeup, and what purpose it serves for me as an individual, as well as like what I think that its broader context can be or should be. So first off, I'm Fairy. I also go by Edelyn on a lot of other sites, and there'll be a link to my personal blog and stuff in the comments. I either do a lot of makeup or I do none. This is because I personally really dislike the idea that makeup has to be something that is intended to make you prettier. I think that there's a lot of really gross cultural commentary in the idea that we have to make ourselves prettier using makeup. And so as a result of that, I personally tend to eschew it entirely, or I devote a lot of time to it, into doing bright colors that are not necessarily considered appropriate for everyday wear, which is similar to my clothing style. And so I tend to be very whimsical and kind of like a 6-year-old with a little bit more knowledge, dressed as myself every day. And then on top of that, I personally have a lot of anxiety issues, and I have a lot of dissociation with my body and like feeling like my body doesn't belong to me. And so, in order to help combat this, I make it a point to do things that help me reclaim ownership or feelings of ownership. And some of that is body modification. I've got tattoos all over. I've got a giant back piece. I do that with piercings. My hair is this great teal color, and grayish blue, just because it helps me feel like my body is mine. But doing makeup is also a way to kind of consciously take control over my own presentation and in a way to retain ownership of who I am and how I appear to others and how I am perceived. And that's really important to me. It's also just kind of generally, sorry, here's the anxiety again. Just drinking to get through the vlog. But it's also generally just, I really have a lot of anxiety around being looked at. And so being able to control how that happens is super exciting and validating for me as an individual. So with this vlog, I'm going to talk a little bit more, probably in the future, about how my relationship to makeup has evolved and how it is now versus before. Since, growing up as a girl, I did not necessarily grow up with the idea that makeup was creative expression instead of something to make us socially acceptable. I'm also going to try to connect it to some of my other interests, so more complex feminist theory, creativity theory in general, and visual arts more specifically. I'm also going to try to look at it from a historical perspective, some of that being flat history, so like how are different things created at different points in time, and what kinds of cosmetics have been used in different cultures. And then connected to that, I'm going to go into some folkloristics and maybe consult some of my friends who have studied body a little bit more thoroughly. And then I also want to do some straightforward just makeup reviews, especially of indie companies who you may not have heard of or whom I may not have heard of as of right now. And I want to try to do some makeup tutorials for a little bit more eccentric looks. So things between, like what you might wear going out at night and stage makeup, but not necessarily either of them. So things that are a little bit more out there without necessarily being stage or theatrical, or I'm trying to be a golem kinds of levels of stuff. That being said, I do consider myself to be a fairy for a lot of complicated reasons, and that's a little bit of a story for another time, but it does mean that, like I said before, my personal aesthetic tends to toward the very bright and obnoxious, even for everyday wear. So I would go to work wearing something like this, including the sparkles because I work at a preschool. So that's hopefully what I'm going to get into. And I'll try to do one of these about weekly. I make no promises. But I think that our plan was that I would do it once a week and she would do it once a week. So if any of this sounds interesting, or if you have comments or questions or requests of things that you want us to do in this kind of series, let us know in the comments or let us know via email. All of that will be below. And I'll try to do my best to accommodate every single request that I get. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week with something more along the lines of a tutorial. Thanks! Bye!